Well, doc, I don't like taking medicines. I like to go the natural route. And, besides, I know that, you doctors make money off of medications. That's why you keep pushing it. But, I don't want none of that stuff. Welcome to your daily health briefing. I'm Dr. Albert Tackett. This show is here to help you navigate the complex U.S. medical system, one step at a time. Whether you are decoding a new diagnosis, fighting for a referral, or just trying to stay informed, you are in the right place. Let's get into the science. If doctors got paid every time they prescribe medications, I would own an island right now. Now, I bring this up because I had an interesting interaction with one of my patients. He came in to see me for its annual physical, and we did a bunch of blood work, as always, and then came back for his follow-up. So cholesterol is high, blood pressure is high, and he now has diabetes. And by the way, he's also dealing with obesity, has class 1 obesity, BMI is 34. So I told him, well, you do have diabetes, but the good news is there is a wonderful drug, a GLP-1 medication. You know them as Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, Zepbound, exenatide, which you know as Byetta, and liraglutide, which is Saxenda. So I told him I was going to prescribe him a GLP-1, which will help control diabetes and also help him lose weight. And he looked at me and said, nah, doc, I don't think I want any of those things, man. I've heard about that stuff. I don't want none of that. I'm not a medicine person. It's like, wow, what do you mean? What's a medicine person? Well, doc, I don't like taking medicines. I like to go the natural route. And, besides, I know that, you doctors make money off of medications. That's why you keep pushing it. But, I don't want none of that stuff. All right. Now, this is a guy who's been my patient for about 6 years now. Love him dearly. His wife is also my patient. I did not take offense to that. Why? Because I've heard it over and over, right? I've had many interactions with patients where these same things have been brought up. But here we had the trifecta. What is the trifecta? The trifecta is I'm not a medication person. I like the natural route. Doctors make money off medications. And so I said, all right, so let's talk about this. And I asked him, how do I make money off prescribing a medication? You tell me, break it down to me. It's like, well, doc, I don't know. You guys push medicines. Everybody knows that. That's why you guys make money, because you keep pushing medications. So I said, all right, so tell me, when I prescribe you a medication right now, I was going to give you a GLP-1. Let's walk through this. How do I make money off of this GLP-1? Am I selling it to you? It's like, no, but you're going to send it to the pharmacy. I'm like, yeah, I will. And you guys get kickbacks from pharmacies, the pharmaceutical industry. And I was shocked. I wasn't shocked because of what he said, because I've heard that before. I was shocked by the simplicity and the ease with which he said it. He said it as though it was dogma. It is a known fact that we doctors make money from kickbacks from pharmaceutical industry. And I was taken aback. So I asked him, where did you hear this? It's like, everyone knows it. So I asked him, have you ever heard of the Anti-Kickback Statute? Have you ever heard of the Sunshine Act? It's like, no, what are those? So I walked him through the Anti-Kickback Statute and the Sunshine Act. But the bottom line is that the Anti-Kickback Statute is actually a federal statute. If I take kickbacks from a pharmaceutical rep or from a pharmacy for prescribing medications, guess what happens? I will be switching this white lab coat for an orange jumpsuit, and I can guarantee you it doesn't look good on me, so I do not want it. We doctors do not receive kickbacks for prescribing medicines. So I proceeded to ask Tommy. So Tommy, all right, let's go along with what you said for the sake of argument. I'm going to write you a prescription for Ozempic. Where would you like me to send it? Which pharmacy? Well, you can send it to the CVS, the one there by Croom Road on Crane Highway. Like, okay. So, do you know the pharmacies there? Like, nah, I don't know. I go there. There are usually a bunch of other pharmacies there. All right, so I don't know them either. So how will I get my kickback? He paused. I said, I'm not sure, but I'm like, well, Tommy, you said I'm going to get a kickback. I want to know, how will I get the kickback? Silence. So I said, well, let's assume it's not from that pharmacy. Let's assume you were traveling to Florida and you didn't want to waste time going to the pharmacy and you preferred to pick it up on the CVS in downtown Tallahassee, Florida. How would I make money off of that pharmacy? And Tommy took a deep breath. I said, well, I don't know, Doc. I said, Tommy, you don't know because you've been believing a lie that has been spread for many years. We doctors do not make money from prescribing medications. Let me tell you something else, Tommy. I'm going to tell you, you are the perfect patient for an insurance company. He said, really? Why? Because look at it. You have high blood pressure. You don't want to take a medication. You have high cholesterol. You don't want to take a medication. You have diabetes. You do not want to take medicine. You have obesity. You do not want to take medicine. But guess what you're doing every month, Tommy? You are paying health insurance every month. $300, $400, $500, sometimes $600 for family plans, $800 deducted from your paycheck every month. Your insurance company is quietly printing money off of you and you are refusing the services they offer you. And this is where Tommy was shocked. He said, really? I said, yes, Tommy, you are the perfect patient for the insurance company. You pay them, you don't use the service. You are like somebody who goes to the gym, right? You spend $200 a month on LA Fitness, one of those fancy gyms, and never show up. Guess what? They have your credit card on file. They quietly print $200 off your credit card every month. You never touch a single dumbbell. They don't even have to clean it. That's what's going on here. And I could see in Tommy's eyes that that's the first time he had heard it actually broken down like this. He was the perfect patient for insurance companies. He is the patient that insurance companies sit in their board meetings and say, find me more Tommies. Guys who do not want to take medicine. They don't want to go to the doctor. They don't want to go to the specialist. They don't want to find out if they have a problem, because when they do, and if they have a problem, they cost us money, right? Think about health insurance the same way you think about your car, your auto insurance. Your insurance company wants you to pay auto insurance, but they don't want you to ever have an accident, right? Once you have an accident, they jack up your rates. Same thing with healthcare. You pay health insurance, you never use the services, you are the perfect patient for them. And all of this happens because, for a reason, and this brings us to our patient-physician allyship part of this episode. Doctors have to take the time to explain these things to patients. Patients are sometimes misguided, misinformed because of the plethora of information out there. And I've long said to many of my patients, there is a lot of information about the healthcare system on the internet and in conversations with other people, but there is very little knowledge. The part of knowledge has to be imparted by physicians. We have to take the time to sit down with the patient, just as I did with Tommy, and break things down. Unfortunately, doctors are in a rush. There are a lot of patients. Patients sometimes don't want to listen, or the doctor doesn't want to talk about it, and everything gets lost. And you have many patients like Tommy going around having misguided information, being misinformed about healthcare, carrying risk of heart attacks, strokes, cancers that could have been caught earlier if someone had taken the time to sit down with them and say, this is just misinformation. Do not put your life into the hands of people who want to misguide you so they can profit from clicks online and views. And so Tommy sat back, I gave him the science, and he made the informed decision to be treated. Now, he and I had a relationship over 6 years built on trust. He knows me, he knows how I practice medicine, and so he accepted what I told him. So it took a physician who had the time to explain to him and a patient who was willing to receive the message to make this union work. Now that is the kind of care all of us must strive to provide and patients must strive to receive. We have to go by data, by science, by the facts, by clinical studies, by trials. That's why you pay us to take care of you. That's why you come here and pay a copay, is that we give you scientific information. Because if it's not scientific information, you don't have to go to a doctor. You can just go on the internet. There are plenty of people there who have made careers out of fear-mongering, clickbait, and views. And they will say whatever they need to for you to view and to click and subscribe. But we don't do that here. Here, we prioritize your health. We prioritize scientific information. We prioritize clinical accuracy. And when we do not know the answer, we say we don't know. The science has not yet caught up to that. That is the type of care that saves life. And that is the type of care that has probably prevented Tommy from having a stroke or a heart attack 5-6 years from today. If you're not receiving that kind of care, make sure you talk to your doctor or find another one. But insist on having a doctor who provides you accurate clinical information so you can make actionable decisions. Now, I'm happy to report that Tommy has been taking his medicine, is losing weight, blood pressure is getting better, diabetes is under control, and he's one happy dude. And on this note, I will leave you with this episode. I will see you next episode because the fight doesn't stop here. This has been the Daily Brief. Medicine is not about certainty. It is about responsibility. Decisions are often made with incomplete information, but they are always made with your safety in mind. In a system that can feel rushed and fragmented, you deserve clarity, continuity, and an advocate who sees the whole picture. I am Dr. Albert Tacken, your physician ally, high-level science, human-level care. I will see you at the next briefing, or I will see you in the clinic.